What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Endzone. It's your boy Craig once again with my host, AC. So we're here today, once again, another week of football. Not as many updates as we normally have for you, but we put together a show for you, and we hope that you like it. So first and foremost, we have to congratulate the Bruins. Put your hands together, standing ovation. We got that game one victory out the way. It was a little shaky in the beginning. They went up 2-0 in the first period. It was looking pretty scary, even though we were actually playing better, in my opinion. They just happened to get two plays off and two really good shots at the end of those plays. But then we come back, second period, and two goals to tie it up. And then in the third, two more to seal it. So that was great. It's always good to win not only your home game, but the first game of the Stanley Cup to set the tone of the remainder of the 7 games. So,
I watch it, but sometimes I don't understand it. But I'm starting to understand more and more hockey. The fourth line is pretty good, though.
Yes, we have. May the fourth line be with you in Bruins hockey. We have an exceptional line, and we actually have. Technically, we have the best first line in the NHL. So we definitely have all the weapons we need, but those Blues are some big boys, man. They definitely outsize us, but we are faster, so hopefully that speed will take advantage in the deeper games. And hopefully Tuukka Rask, who is on fire, can remain.
You see what he did? How dude knocked his helmet off and he chased the other dude down?
Yo.
I was like, oof.
Thank you for reminding me of that hit. If I can, I might try to put a highlight reel on the show. I'm not promising you that you're about to see a highlight right now, but if you are about to see a highlight, this was the most amazing. It
was a savage play.
It was savage. And the best part about it, if you know Bruins hockey, you know that they call everything on us and they never call anything for us. Homeboy gets his helmet ripped off, no call. But then charges downfield for the most brutal blast on a dude I've seen in a long time. No call.
No call.
And
then he goes to the bench with the helmet off, still and everything.
Yeah,
nothing ever happened.
Whew. To this one, I say hats off to the refs for saying, you know what? Both players got it, so we're just going to let it ride. This is what you call Stanley Cup hockey, and that was awesome. I'm glad you reminded me of that little play because, oh boy, brutal hit. But that's why we love hockey, man. Brutal hits, fights, great goals. And that's the one thing I feel like with hockey more than any other sport is when they score, it's so you just you might see the play developing, but when it happens, it's just boom, scored, over with.
And then you watch to see fights and you watch to see hits like that because it makes it that much more exciting.
Yeah.
Because if not, then it's kind of like baseball. It's boring.
It can be boring.
But when you see in plays like that, it keeps you on edge. Okay, I'm waiting for the next fight. I'm waiting for the next hit. I'm waiting for the next goal. So to see the goals happen, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool game.
Yeah. There's a lot to hockey, and if you can give yourself the opportunity to get into it, man, it is a beautiful sport to watch. And the fact that I think a lot of people don't understand because they're just watching it how difficult it's got to be to move around and maneuver like that on ice skates. Put on a pair of ice skates, get on the ice, and stop dead in your tracks, spin around, and collect a puck and see how easy that is, man. Hockey is an incredible sport. I wish I knew more about it so that when I have my hockey show that I could be one of the hosts, but I don't know enough to host a hockey show. But we will have one coming up. We will have one hopefully before the start of the next season. All right, so with that being said, the Bruins victory 4-2 over the Blues puts us up 1-0. We got 3 more to go. I'd love to see a repeat sweep against the Blues, but a victory is all I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
All right, and then the one update we do have for you is Richie Incognito, offensive tackle, signs a 1-year deal with the Oakland Raiders. I think that helps their team. Mm-hmm. So,
we're big on offensive line, so anytime you can get an offensive lineman to protect a good quarterback, it's always a plus.
Yeah. He always has a little controversy in his name.
Yeah.
And I like what they said. It was funny. I don't know if they're downplaying his negativity or if they're just trying to make light of signing him. but I can't remember I think the GM of the team said not everybody can be a boy. You can't have a team full of Boy Scouts.
No.
That's what he said. You can't have a team full of Boy Scouts. And yes, Richie Incognito is not a Boy Scout. He is actually the polar opposite of that.
Yes.
So, but I do agree. Not everybody on the team is going to be a Boy Scout. You do need some bad boys who aren't afraid to get dirty. So, congratulations to the Raiders to bolstering their offensive line, and maybe that will give Derek Carr more time. All right, and I believe you have a player update.
Player update. My guy, one of my favorite guys that I like to watch playing growing up, Pac-Man Jones. He retired after 12 seasons. He's been in the league for 12 seasons. He played on multiple different teams. He was drafted in 2005 from the University of West Virginia to the Tennessee Titans. He started 28 games over his first 2 seasons, and that's in Tennessee. But he was suspended for an entire season in 2007 because you know him, he was a knucklehead, so he had a lot of off-field, on-field problems. And then in 2008, he played for the Cowboys, and then he went into the CFL.
He played for the Cowboys?
For a little bit. It was a little stint. You wouldn't even remember because he played a couple games, got into some more trouble, then they shipped him down to the CFL. That's when the CFL was like popular, when Ricky Williams and those type of guys was getting shipped down for like rehabilitation purposes, and he was one of the guys that got shipped down, and then they brought him back into the NFL. When they brought him back, he went back to Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, they declined his $5.5 million option, which sent him to Denver. So he went from Cincy to Denver, and he was at Denver for this last part of the year, but he really didn't play much over there. And then that's what really forced his retirement. But
I mean, 12 years for a guy like that is a long career.
For a knucklehead like that, yeah.
To have gotten that far, knowing you have that many problems, that's impressive.
Yeah, he made the Pro Bowl in 2015. He was all Pro first team in 2014. He had, like we saying, a lot of off-field issues. He actually just had an issue just a few months back when he was cheating in a casino playing blackjack.
That's gracious.
Yeah, but over his
many talents.
Yeah, over his career, he played in 146 games. He started in 104. I'm sorry. He started in 104 out of 146 games. Ended with 552 tackles, 17 interceptions. He had 1,944 yards and 5 touchdowns and punt returns, and he had 3,232 yards on kickoff returns off 125 kick returns. Because you know he was a kick returner and a punt returner, so he kind of was an all-around player. But
he had a career, huh?
He when you look into his career, he had a lot better career on paper than it looked watching him play. Because watching him play, like we said, he just looked like he was a knucklehead doing the wrong thing, but he had a lot of longevity in the league too, as well.
Exactly. And I think sometimes defensive players get overshadowed by offense. You know, you watch a game and you're always looking for the score. You're not paying attention to the defensive side of the ball a lot of times, especially if you're not a true football fan. So
it's hard.
A talented guy like that can get overshadowed. And wow, I listening to his accolades surprises me on how well he did. I didn't realize. I mean, that's high level.
Yeah, he was high level, especially with I remember him in Cincinnati, with him being a punt returner. Because I was a punt returner, so I paid attention to the guys that the punt returner. He was a savage at punt returning. He had good field vision. And coming from where he come from, Florida, it's a different lifestyle of playing football. Like them guys out there, they say the word is they chase rabbits. So it's like he was blazing fast, running 4.2s, 4.3s out there. So it's like to see his career and see him retire after this, and he kind of you could say, he got into that little trouble in the casino a couple months back, but he kind of retired on top. Not really it could have been a lot worse. Him being the player that he is and the mentality that he had, it could have been a lot worse for him. So good thing he was able to retire. And anytime you retire from somewhere, that's going out on top. Because, it's hard to retire.
I think a lot of players who had because that one big thing that happened at a strip club, right? That one big thing, usually when that happens to a player like that, it's the opening signs to the downfall of their career. But for him, he made the adjustment in his life. I don't know how much of an adjustment he made. He may have done things that he just didn't get caught doing. But I'm going to say for his benefit, that he turned it around and found a way to focus on football, and then was able to continue being successful. And kudos to that, because you got a lot of guys who just can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, and just think about it. He played in his first 2 seasons, started most of the games, and then got shipped to another team, got suspended for a whole year, got shipped down to the CFL, and then managed to come back and play 8 more years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
8 more years too.
You get what I'm saying? So he did his trials and tribulations throughout the league, which you got to give him the utmost respect.
Yeah. Because not many people will take that and put the effort in to turn their life around once they've already, because he made it. He got his money, he made it, he was big time, and then he didn't let it, he let the humbling experience humble him to get him back where he needed to go. And nobody's perfect, you know what I'm saying? Nobody, if you were an alcoholic and you quit drinking, no one assumes that you'll never ever have a drink again and make a mistake. The possibility is there. He just made a mistake, and I'm not going to hold it against him, because for all that time that he rebuilt it, he slipped.
Yeah.
And we all slip as human beings, so that's an impressive career, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
So, hats off to you, Pac-Man, and thank you for all the show you put on for us.
Enjoy your retirement. And also, side note, is, it's 100 days to football, to the Packers versus Bears.
100 days to football.
100 days, September 5th, Packers versus Bears.
Yes. Thank you for saying that.
100 days to football.
Man, there's nothing I get more excited about than getting to watch football.
Yes.
I love watching football every day, and 100 days, when you say 100 days, it seems like so close, but then you're just like, man, I gotta wait 100 days to watch the game. But it is exciting to say 100 days till football, and this is the first game of the new century of football.
Yep.
We just had the 100th season last year, so now it's the 101 season, so that's pretty cool as well. I just can't wait to see what happens. I think it's going to be a crazy year for football.
Yeah.
I think we're going to, with all these moves, I think you're going to see some outstanding football this year. All right, so now it's time for my update. We lost a great one this past week. We lost, Bart Starr. Bart Starr. I'm sorry, Bart Starr. I did not write your name down, but I did remember it. So Bart Starr, we lost a great quarterback. He played for Green Bay Packers from 1956 to 1971. He also coached the Packers from 1975 to 1983. So this guy didn't just play; he also coached. But as a player, he was remarkable. He was at the top of the talent pool, and he actually was the first quarterback to play in the first Super Bowl. Also won that one and the second. So not only did he play in the first Super Bowl and the second, he won both of those Super Bowls for the Green Bay Packers. He's the only quarterback in NFL history to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. So that's impressive, and I believe the first one would have been the NFL Super Bowl, not the before the AFL joined in. So he won 3 consecutive championships. No quarterback in the NFL history has done that. He won the first 2 Super Bowls. Like I said, he was the Packers head coach from 75 to 83. Unfortunately, his record in coaching was not that impressive. He went 52, 76, and 3. So he did have a losing record as a coach, but they must have saw something in him to allow him to coach for that long. He was drafted out of Alabama in 1956. And this is crazy. I mean, because obviously it was must have been the beginning of football, or at least the beginning of the league. He was drafted in the 17th round at number 200. That's crazy. You're a top quarterback, and you got drafted in the we don't even go 17 rounds in the NFL draft. We don't even go 17 rounds in fantasy football.
That's because back in that time, it was that conversion from that AFL to the NFL, and they was trying to put things together and see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think there was at least wasn't it 14, 15 rounds to the draft up until just recently?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I know there's 7 rounds now. I don't know what the adjustments were, but maybe we'll look that up and drop some information later episode. So, but yeah, 17th pick. 17th round, 200th pick. So a nice little round number for him. But ended up being a 2-time Super Bowl champ. Two-time Super Bowl MVP, 5-time NFL champ in the year 61, 62, 65, and 67. Four-time Pro Bowler from 60 to 62 and then in 66. First team All-Pro in 66. Three-time second team All-Pro from 61 to 62 and 64. Five-time NFL passer rating leader. Five-time NFL passer rating leader. 62, 64, 66, 68, and 69. He's the NFL 1960s All-Decade Team. Packers Hall of Fame. They retired his number 15 in 1973. His passing attempt was 3,149. His completion was 1,808. His passing yards were 24,718. His percentage rate was 57.4. His TD to interception rate was a little off. It was 152 to 138. So that's a high interception rate. But back then, that makes
back then defense was
crazy.
Was vicious.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
I guess that's and that was still high in that time, so I guess that's still pretty good. And his passer rating was 80.5, but he has the highest postseason passer rating in NFL history at 104.8, which is crazy. So this guy had a hell of a career in football and in coaching, and you know, he's one of Green Bay Packers' greatest, one of the NFL's greatest. So we just want to, give our condolences to his family in the NFL. We lost a great one, but he had a great life. He lived it to the fullest, and we say hats off to you, sir, and thank you for the show.
Your boy kind of broke a couple of his records.
Who, Brady?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Brady broke a lot of people's records. Brady loves breaking records. He's the record breaker. We love Brady over here. So we got two segments we're going to do for you today. I'm going to let you choose which one we're going to do first.
We can do the top five.
Top five?
Go top five.
All right.
Make
So
it interesting.
Today I'm going to call it the top 10, but we each picked five of our favorite. Yes, five of our favorite wide receiver combinations.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you go first.
Not all time.
Not all time, just this coming season. The combinations of wide receivers for this coming season that we like the most. And I'm going to let you go with your number one pick.
Who I want to put on my number one spot?
Or we can go from bottom to top. You want to go from bottom to top? I'll go top to bottom. I'll let you choose.
For my number one spot, just because they had the stats but not the touchdowns.
Okay.
But I really like this duo. Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks. Robert Woods, he averages 76 yards a game. He ended up with 1,200 yards last season and 6 touchdowns. Along with Brandon Cooks, he averaged 75 yards a game with 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. So I like that duo. I wouldn't say my number one because I really don't have a number one when it comes to this. But I would say I like that because they put up the most yards. They might didn't have the most touchdowns, but they had yards combined. And when you have two receivers on the same team, both putting up 1,200 yards and averaging almost the same a game, that's big. And don't forget, they played on the Rams and they had Gurley, who had a lot of rushing TDs. So when they got it down there, he finished the job. So for them to both break out for 1,200 yards at receiver position, kudos to these guys.
Yeah, man. That is a dope wide receiver core over there. And I think you might have been remiss in not throwing in Cooper Kupp into that conversation.
I didn't have to throw in Cooper Kupp. See, I let you do the trio. I did the duo. You could pick your trio. I didn't have to throw Cooper Kupp out there.
Oh,
just
man.
because
I love Cooper
didn't.
Kupp so much.
Yeah.
And
but when you got two guys on your team putting up 1,200 yards.
Yeah. And I think Cooper Kupp would have been in that same yardage conversation had he not got hurt. I mean, I think Cooper Kupp might be, if he doesn't get hurt, I think he might lead that team in
Injuries happen.
yards. Yeah, I know. Yeah, if you had Cooper Kupp last year in your fantasy, you was all excited until he got hurt, and then he just ruined your season. That didn't happen to me, but it did happen to some people I know. All right, so my number one wide receiver duo, I do have some trios, but my number one wide receiver duo is going to be Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. And I didn't think to do the research he did and give you yards and touchdowns. But Adam Thielen was the number 2 wide receiver and at one point the number 1 wide receiver in the league last year for yards and receptions. I think that he is Kirk Cousins' favorite weapon. I think he's one of the most reliable wide receivers in the NFL. He got hands for days. And I'm pretty sure that Adam Thielen was an undrafted free agent, which just shows you, like we were talking about before, every once in a while you get an undrafted free agent who just shows out and is just incredible. And part of that had to do with that he came from a school that, you don't really look for much talent from. But with that combination of Stephon Diggs, the speedy wide receiver who can go deep, and then you got Adam Thielen underneath who can run his routes. This wide receiver has the potential to be the most threatening wide receiver duo in the NFL. And I don't know if it's going to be Kirk Cousins that holds him back or if it's going to be the system, but I think that they could be one of the best duos.
Good luck with them guys.
What? Adam Thielen was one of the best. How could you disagree?
They threw the ball to him 15 times a game, too.
Yeah, because he's open. You got to throw it to the guy who's open.
Okay.
Oh, you don't like Adam Thielen?
I think he's all right.
Oh,
He's a fantasy guy for sure, yes.
Yeah.
But I think he's okay.
Oh, man.
I got better guys that I like better than him.
All right. You just pooped on my whole parade.
No, I didn't.
Nah.
I didn't.
I know what we got here. And these two guys are a dynamic duo, and I like them a lot. It's okay. What do you got next?
Next up, I got my man Julio. Julio, he averaged 104 a game. He ended off with 1,600 yards and 8 TDs. And then you know what? I didn't even put my guy Sanu there.
I couldn't, when you told me where he was going, I didn't know why you didn't say Sanu.
Because I threw the young boy at you, Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, he only had 821 yards, but he put up 10 TDs.
Yes.
And when you have Sanu and you have Julio, and then you got Calvin Ridley running around, that just helped him out a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't put Sanu, because I knew it would have been kind of like cheating, because you know how I feel about Sanu, so I wasn't going to go there with you. I wasn't going there with you, so I just left it alone because I didn't want to argue that purpose. So I threw the young guy, a guy from a school that you like, Bama, even though I don't like Bama, but you're a Bama guy. Bama. So I threw him out there because when I looked, I'm like, Sanu was like the, say, 26, and Ridley was 28. And I'm like, I'm gonna just put Ridley there, just for the show purposes. Like, I could throw Sanu in there, but I was just like, let me just put Ridley in there for show purposes.
Once again, I would have did all three of them. I would have went with the trio because I actually, before you picked your teams, I had Atlanta in my head, and that was gonna be the trio. And here's the thing, and this is what I'm worried about with Calvin Ridley. Is Calvin Ridley started off the season strong, like he came out of like
fresh
bad out of hell, and he was an impressive rookie, getting the job done, and then he stalled out. Like halfway through the season, I remember in fantasy, he was a hot commodity. Whoever had him, everybody was trying to trade for him. You couldn't trade him. And then after week 8 or 9, maybe even 10, all of a sudden whoever had him is just trying to get rid of him because he just stalled out.
That whole Atlanta team stalled.
Julio did not stall.
Julio's Julio.
Yeah,
we just say he had 1,600 yards.
Yeah, I know.
But Julio was getting you yards, but he wasn't getting you touchdowns.
And I got to agree with you. The whole team as a whole did stall out. They have one of the best offenses in the NFL, and they didn't make the playoffs. So that is saying a lot. And I didn't know if it was that they just figured him out or if the chemistry just somehow disappeared. But they were a hot, on-fire team the first half of the season.
I think I'm gonna tell you what I feel from because I watch Atlanta football a lot. I think it's that they took a downfall in the running back position. They had injuries in the running back position.
Correct.
And when you don't have a run game, it's hard to have a pass game. So it's kind of like people think NFL is so easy. You can go out there, sit in the pocket, and throw. But You got to have a run game to complement that pass game.
Oh, we can't talk about that enough. I mean, we bring that up.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other.
Absolutely agree with you. And so for that instant, that's why I feel like they kind of pummeled a little bit. Because a couple guys got hurt, and they wasn't able to get a running back in there that can help them out, really.
That's why I think that the Rams had the best offense last year, is because they had a run game that could open up the pass game, but then they had a pass game that just blows open the door on the run game.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the Rams, what happened?
What, Todd Gurley got hurt? Yeah.
And then what happened? They wasn't the same Rams team.
They weren't the same Rams
team.
You
know what I'm saying?
Although C.J. Anderson did get the job done when he came in.
I'm not saying he didn't get the job done, but at the end of the day, you play for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you lost.
Yeah.
I agree. The reason why you lost was because your man was hurt. Mm-hmm. And it's different. You can have C.J. Anderson, but you got to realize C.J. Anderson is his backup.
Yeah. And
so
he's
it's different.
Not Todd Gurley.
Exactly. So it's different when you have a backup running back compared to having a starting running back. You know, like. It's
and
tough.
A guy who's been with you all season and knows exactly what to do. So I do agree with you. I do agree. Like, losing Todd Gurley definitely took a big chunk away. Like, they did still have a really good run game, but it was definitely a different game without Todd Gurley. So I can't disagree with you. All right, my number 2 pick, and I'm pretty sure that you can already see this one coming, is Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. I like these two guys. One, they come from the same school, but I think these two guys have like the best hands in the NFL. Like, when it comes to receiving that ball, they're like Venus flytraps. I don't know what you're talking about. They got the best hands. They just, everything thrown their way gets caught, snapped up. And I think Landry he's not the fastest wide receiver, but he has excellent route running. And I think Odell Beckham, because of the core that they have of wide receivers and the run game they have, you cannot double team Odell Beckham. He's going to get that shutdown corner, single coverage, and he is going to blow the roof off. So, yeah, that's my number 2 right there.
Okay. I'm not going to rain on you.
Nah, say what you got to say. Let the fans know.
First of all, they don't have the best hands. They might be the best duo right now, but for the best hands, nah.
What? Just blowing my mind right now.
Larry Fitzgerald by far. My guy that I'm going to name you next.
I know who you're going to say next, and I know why you're going to say him. And
you know what I'm saying? Like, these guys average probably 1 to 2 drops per year.
I don't know what Odell Beckham's or Landry's average drops are, but I'm going to look it up.
Look it up.
I'm going to look it up. And next week, we're going to have a comparison on his guys who don't drop the ball and my guys who don't drop the ball. I'm going to see what happens. But listen, we know when Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham get thrown the ball to catch it. So
they're cute with it. One hand, that type of stuff. You know, that's all they do, cute stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, come on, man.
Oh, man. Oh, no. But, yeah, so those are my picks, and I just think that this Cleveland Browns team is just going to be. So I couldn't, you know what, when you showed me yours and you didn't have them on there, I was like, word, he left those for me.
I left some for you. I couldn't be greedy.
He knew I wanted him, and then he was like, but I'm going to shit on him all day with those picks. I let him have them, but he's going to get it with it. So, those are my picks. Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry will be the best wide receiver duo this season, at least fantasy-wise. So, what do you got next?
Next, I'm going with the best wide receiver in the NFL.
I know you're right. You are right.
D-Hop.
Yes, D-Hop. I can't disagree with you on that one.
He is the best in the league.
He is the best.
He had 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. The best. Don't drop balls. He was the one who made the one-hand catch before it was a one-hand catch and everybody had Odell going crazy.
You know what?
Let's be real now.
Actually, he did have the one-handed catch.
The most amazing catch that you would see.
But the only reason why it didn't get recognized is because it was on a penalty. And
exactly.
I feel for my man D-Hops because, like you, I do agree, he is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Only receiver in the NFL that's got multiple 1,000 yards with anybody. Me and Craig could be his quarterback, and he's going to get 1,000 yards receiving. Hands down.
This is true.
He just got a quarterback the last 2 years.
You can't. Most people can't even name the quarterbacks he's had because they're such bums, and he was putting out
Matt
numbers
Schaub and stuff like that. Them type of guys are Schaub. Like,
who does good with Schaub as their quarterback?
He did.
Or Tom Savage.
Tom Savage. He did.
Ooh, dirty.
Come on, he did though.
he did his best to make Brock Osweiler look good, and even still, like,
and he got Brock Osweiler that contract in in Denver.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
So
he was having 1,000 yards with anybody.
Yeah.
With journeyman.
yeah,
Like,
straight journeyman. He's
Yeah.
only ever had journeyman until now.
Until now.
So, like, that's why no one can disagree with D Hop's ability. You know what I like? I don't know if you ever seen this this video where I can't remember the coach, but the coach of the other team walks up to him. He was like, "You're the best wide receiver in the NFL," and he was like, "I know." And I was like, "Damn, man, you couldn't say thank you?" Like, yeah, thank you, I appreciate it, but I know that. But nah, he was just like, "I know."
did you ever see the video when he who was it that he may retire off his route? He broke his tore his ACL, MCL covering him. It was in damn.
I feel like I know who you're talking about too, and I cannot think of his name.
Was it Buchanan? No, not Philip
No.
Buchanan. I can't think of his name right now. But he did a route. I think the first play, he knocked the ball down. He was yapping. Next play, he come back. Boom, boom. He did like a split. He was done for the whole year. Killed him, and he retired that same season.
Posterized him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love when people get posterized.
And then I threw Will Fuller. Will Fuller, he's not too crazy. He didn't do nothing too significant because he was battling injuries a lot.
He gets injured a lot, but you want to
Yeah.
know something? I feel like Will Fuller is one of the most underrated wide receivers
He
in the
is.
NFL. If Will Fuller can
gotta
be
stay
healthy,
healthy.
if he can stay
Yes.
healthy for one whole season, that is hands down the best wide receiver duo the NFL's ever seen.
Oh,
I might be extreme, but
that might be extreme.
I mean,
I can't co-sign that one.
because
with
you got Randy Moss and Wes Welker. But who do you think's the best of all time? If you had to pick one of all time, would it be Rice and T.O.?
Say them.
Or
Say Moss and Carter.
what was the dudes from Denver? Reggie White. I mean
Wayne.
Reggie Wayne and the dude who was like the best. I always
But
forget.
then they had Sterling Sharp over there. Sharp over there too.
Yeah, but he's tight end.
Yeah, but he still helped them out.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, that's the type of offense that they ran.
But nah, what's that dude? He was like one of the best wide receivers. I always forget his name. It's like Harrison or something like that, or Harris. Ah, damn it. I'll remember it like tomorrow. But anyway, so yeah, you just did yours. Did you just do yours?
Yeah. Now it's on to you.
Oh yeah, D Hops. Were you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Pass
All
it
right.
to you.
So now on to me. I did forget that he did say Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods. So I have to move on to my number 4, but I will come with another one before this is over. And I think I'm throwing a curveball here. This is my first trio, and that's Amari Cooper, Mike Gallup, and Randall Cobb. I think that this combo is going to be dynamic. Amari Cooper had a full offseason to work with Dak Prescott. He's going to have a full preseason practice. And Mike Gallup was nasty last year. He's only had more time to gain steam with this team. And I think Randall Cobb is an upgrade. If he's healthy, I think he's an upgrade from Cole Beasley. So I think with Dak Prescott at the helm and the run game that Ezekiel Elliott brings to
Hopefully
the
he
table.
gets to play, though, and don't get suspended. Zeke.
I don't think he's gonna get suspended. First of all, no files, no charges filed. He only got handcuffed. At the most, a 1-game suspension is all they can give him.
Who knows with the NFL?
Yeah, the NFL be doing crazy stuff, but I think he's gonna get a pass on this one. But I think Amari Cooper is gonna be in the top 10 of wide receivers this year. I think his time has come. It's due. And with this run game, if they're not one of the best wide receiver cores, then they just need to break up this whole team. I'm just saying, because Amari Cooper was nasty last year. He's got to build on it. He's got to build on it. So, and adding Randall Cobb to me was the smartest move they made after losing Cole Beasley. So if this isn't one of the top, then I don't know anything about football anymore. I'm just blown away if this isn't one of the top receiving cores. All right, who you got?
So for me next, I got A.J. Green, another guy, 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then Tyler Boyd, he put up 1,000 and some change with 7 touchdowns. So they're like about equal. But if you notice, like a lot of games, like because Green battled injuries too.
Yeah.
But a lot of games when Green was hot, Boyd fell off of that. You know, like, and they fed off of each other. And those two guys, like, you really got two receivers that really, like how you say Odell and Jarvis is boys, you could tell that those two are boys because they're like, when one score, they celebrate, they're there with each other. Like, you can see their work ethic. You can see, you could tell by body language how people are, you know, and with their body language, you can see that they're happy for each other. You can see that they're playing for each other. So to see that, I think it's a bonus, and their numbers don't lie, and they put up good numbers, and they both one had a little bit more yards than another, but one had one more touchdown than the next.
I think that was situational because one thing I like about A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd is I think they're very similar wide receivers.
Yes.
They have very similar skill set, and so I think it's because A.J. Green, he's not done yet, but he's coming to that point where he'll be done. You know, I think injuries is going to be the thing that's going to cause him to want to retire. But it's like a perfect transition to go from having A.J. Green be your number one to eventually having Tyler Boyd take over that offense. So I think it's a great transition. You could tell that Tyler Boyd is learning from A.J. Green. Yep. And I think that if they both were healthy the whole season, you would see it would be a competition between the two of them, and like a good, healthy competition. And I think Tyler Boyd, his big numbers came when A.J. Green got injured, and A.J. Green's big numbers came in the beginning of the season. This is a dangerous combination they got here, and if they can keep him healthy, get that strength and conditioning better, it's a scary offense right there.
Very scary.
Very scary. I think that they need to work on getting a new quarterback, though. I think Andy Dalton's time to become a journeyman. I think it's time. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I used to love Andy Dalton, but I don't know if I feel comfortable with him being the leader of my team anymore.
Yeah.
So, and they got young guys, Joe Mixon and Tyler Boyd. It's time to get a nice young quarterback. All right. So now my pick is it's going to be one name, but then everybody else that's with him. And that's Davante Adams and the rest of the receiving corps of Green Bay, no matter who they are. Because Davante Adams gets the job done, whether it's Geronimo Allison or that dude with like 4 names, Valdez Sanders or whatever it is. No matter which one of those two is hot, Davante Adams brings the heat every time. I think Davante Adams might be the second best wide receiver in the NFL, especially with Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. Like, I think he's come a long way from when Jordy Nelson first got that season-long injury, and he had to kind of step up, but he didn't do it as well as you'd hope. After that season, Davante Adams stepped into that number 1 role, and last year I think he really proved that if he's not number 2, he's definitely a top 5 wide receiver in this NFL.
Okay.
So that's what I think. And then I think no matter who you pair him up with, that can be the duo. Because sometimes one of them's hot, sometimes the other one.
Not knocking that.
Yeah? What do you think?
I think they're all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. But you got Aaron Rodgers throwing you the football, so it's like,
I think that they need to add somebody. I think that they need
like a
serious... No, I don't know.
You're saying like receiver?
Yeah, receiver. I don't think they need they have Jimmy Graham. He's not done. And they do have Mercedes Lewis. Yeah. So, like, they do have 2 tight ends. I just think that they need that one, maybe like a slot receiver, like maybe adding Pierre Garçon to that roster. I don't know. They need to add something. Or maybe just add a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff.
It's tough to play in Green Bay as cold as it is. Nobody want to live in Green Bay.
True. You know what? I love that you bring that up every time because every time it instills it into me that like how much weather is a factor.
It's a big factor.
It's a big factor, and you forget. Like, you're a football player, so you don't forget. But like as fans of the game, we forget. Like, weather changes it. You remember it when like Green Bay's playing like Miami. Okay, yeah. Then and it's a blizzard out. You're like, oh well, Green Bay knows the deal. Yeah. But like you forget like just in general like how much weather can be a factor for players who lived in hot weather and played in hot weather whole life and then go to a team that's cold. So
especially Green Bay, that's probably the coldest.
Yeah, Green Bay and Chicago.
Yeah.
Those are probably the 2 coldest places to play football. So I don't know.
So with my number 5,
yes,
I'm going to go with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Keenan Allen's a guy who put up 1,100 yards, 6 TDs. Mike Williams only put up 600 yards and 10 TDs. But it's like, I picked Mike Williams from the TD aspect because I watched Phillip Rivers just say hot, boom, throw it up. Go up there and get it. So that's what I like about him. He ain't scared to climb that ladder and go up there and get it.
And we're just cracking the surface with that.
Yeah, and again, I like guys who catch the ball, go up there and get it. And so that's why I picked him. It wasn't about the yards with him. It was about the touchdown aspect more. It was about yards.
Yeah, and he fights for the ball, absolutely. Yep. And Keenan Allen, man. I love Keenan Allen. After he had like 2 back-to-back seasons with injuries, so you kind of forgot how good he was.
Yeah.
And last year and the year before that, these last 2 years, he really got back to being himself. And it's always good to see that happen with a player who gets hurt too much and then comes back and completely revamps his career. So that's awesome. It's good to see. Anything else on those 2 guys?
That's it.
Good to go?
Good to go.
You know what? They need more, though. Maybe Michael Crabtree.
Could be.
But because what is it? Travis Benjamin?
Benjamin.
Yeah. Or Telvin Benjamin.
From you talk about came from the Panthers.
Yeah.
Cam?
Yeah. So like he's good, but I feel like
he's like a big baby, bro.
Yeah.
Like he don't. His only aspect is going straight and being tall and going up there and get it, but he don't even go up there and get it no more.
No.
And it seems like he lost a step. So it's like it's a DB's dream to cover him. You know, because you know what you're getting. You don't have to worry about double moves and stuff like that with him. You just got to worry about running straight with him.
One-trick pony.
Yeah.
One-trick pony.
Yep.
And, I mean, when the trick works, it works. But, yeah, I think they need to move on from him and find someone else to put in that position. All right. So you know that we can't leave this conversation without talking. And I put him at the bottom, deservedly so. But when you have Tom Brady throwing the ball, you cannot not mention the Brady receiving core.
The Brady bunch.
The Brady bunch. And we're going to start off with Mr. Clutch himself, one of the most durable, rugged, clutch wide receivers in the NFL, Julian Edelman. But now you add Demaryius Thomas, who, if is healthy, is a dynamic wide receiver and a deep threat. And if he's healthy, I think the combination of him and Brady is going to be similar to when it was him and Peyton Manning. There's going to be a little something's going to come off the edge because it was an Achilles injury and he's not as young as he was anymore. But you added N'Keal Harry. And N'Keal Harry, to me, reminds me of an Odell Beckham type with them great hands. I'm really excited. I mean, we could all be wrong, or people could be wrong about N'Keal Harry, but I feel like N'Keal Harry is going to have one of those 1,000-yard seasons, 1,000-plus-yard seasons, and I think him and Sony Michel are the future of this franchise. Once Brady's gone, they're going to build around those guys, get the quarterbacks and the wide receivers to go around them, and so I think that this trio is going to be dynamic. But don't forget that in maybe a few 2-3 months into the season, in comes Josh Gordon. And what are they going to do then? You got those 4 guys going for the ball. If they're all healthy, it's going to be a very scary offense to go up against. So, but that's the 3-headed monster there in the wide receiver core: Edelman, Demaryius Thomas, N'Keal Harry. Patriots get it done. All right, so that is our segment. Top 5 wide receivers. Wide receiver combos throughout the NFL. Let us know what you think about our picks. Tell us if you think that we're wrong. You can tell AC that I'm right. Whatever you're feeling. So now on to our final segment of the day, and that is, if you were the GM, what would you do? You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
It doesn't matter.
All right, I'll let you go first, so flip the coin, I'm going first. All right, so I chose to go with Jacksonville. And with Jacksonville, I took some liberties here. The first person I want to see Jacksonville at the backup quarterback position is a player that I feel like we haven't mentioned all year, that we all want to see return to the NFL, backup quarterback Colin Kaepernick. I want to see my boy return to the NFL. I do not think he's a starting caliber quarterback. I don't think he was a starting caliber quarterback when he left the NFL. I do think he is a phenomenal backup, probably would be one of the best backups in the NFL.
My only thing with that is you can say that he's not a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
But to see what the quarterbacks did last year, his numbers compared to their numbers, he will be a starter in the NFL.
He could be. He could very, on a lot of teams. He could very well be the starter.
People forget numbers,
yeah. I mean, his first season, he went to the Super Bowl. So, like, let's not forget that. Yeah. And I, to be honest with you, I loved Colin Kaepernick, and I've always liked him as a quarterback. I think that there was a little bit of system problem when he was on the 49ers that took away from his ability to play his game.
Okay.
But I'd like to see him come back, and if he can make it to starting caliber, an even better storyline. But what a great guy, and I would love to see him play again. Now, they let T.J. Yeldon go, and they also let go of the other backup. I can't think of his name. They had 2 backups. They let him go. So I'd like to see him bring on Jay Ajayi and Alex Collins to load up that backfield. Alex Collins had some trouble, but what better team to bring in a troubled player than the Jacksonville Jaguars? They got a bunch of hotheads down there. Bring Alex Collins in to add to the drama. And Jay Ajayi just to kind of give Leonard Fournette a break, especially on those goal line touches. I think that would be some great additions. But what I'd really like to see is a huge trade. Huge trade. I'd like to see Jacksonville snatch up A.J. Green. Bring A.J. Green over to kind of bring these young boys up. Marcus Lee could be healthy this season.
Marcus Lee's good.
And Marcus Lee's nasty. You got A.J. Green and Marcus Lee on the same team with the help of Keelan Cole or D.D. Westbrook, whoever's playing at whatever particular time. Too. You're going to have an unstoppable wide receiver core. I would love to see that go down. I think that would be the trade of the season, and it would be a remarkable move. And Jacksonville's all about defense. So let's just make this defense that much more dangerous, and let's add defensive tackle Mohamed Wilkerson. I have a thing for this guy, man. I think that he is an incredible defensive tackle, and I think that, he got screwed. He didn't get screwed over, but he got hurt before the season started with Green Bay, and he didn't get to showcase that contract that he earned. And I would like to see him get it on a team that celebrates defense so greatly, because Jacksonville, to me, is becoming the new Seattle. And when it comes to the defense, and I would like to see them add that. And then finally, they do not have a tight end in Jacksonville, and I think there's lots of tight ends that they can go after. Yep. They can make a trade for Kyle Rudolph. They can go after Lance Kendricks. They can even try to convince Antonio Gates to play one more season. But I don't really care who they bring on, but I would like them to see them bring on a tight end, a named tight end, like somebody who brings notoriety and talent at the same time.
Gotcha.
So those are my picks. I did have Des Bryant on the list, but then I took that off when I decided to trade for A.J. Green. I think that's the better move, and I think that A.J. Green would bring the best talent to that team.
Gotcha.
Yeah? What do you think?
I like that.
Yeah?
I like that.
Do we make the playoffs? I think we make the playoffs.
Yeah, you make the playoffs. With that ballsy trade, of course, you make it to the playoffs.
What do you have to give up to get A.J. Green? What do you have to give up? Is it a third-round pick? Is it a second-round pick? Do they have to give up a player?
They're going to have to give up a couple players and maybe a pick.
I say D.D. Westbrook in a third-round pick.
I wouldn't give up D.D., though, because D.D. will complement A.J. and Marcus Lee. Those two ain't going nowhere.
So Keelan Cole then?
Yeah.
Keelan Cole in a third-round draft pick.
Maybe throw in like a defensive
Green.
player that you really don't care for.
Touche. Okay.
Yeah, so two players in the draft pick, and hopefully.
And we get A.J. Green. I like it. Let's make that happen. What do you got for us?
So the team that I picked, since it was like the 100th anniversary coming up, and I did the Bears last time, I'm going to go with Green Bay this time.
Awesome.
Craig talks big on Green Bay's offense, so I didn't want to touch the offense, so I'm going to just talk from a defense point of view because
that's what they need.
Yeah, over their last 2 seasons, Green Bay gave up 60 touchdowns, 30 last season and 30 the season before that. And they give up 354 passing yards per game and 25 points. So when you're giving up those type of numbers, it's bad, and they run a 3-4 defense. So, 3-4 for people listening out there, you got 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. So with that defense, they just got Zadarius Smith from Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
In 2017 and 2016, he had 119 career tackles so far. A guy out of Kentucky. So they just brought him in to be the left defensive end. So I think that's pretty good. They got Kenny Clark over there, a guy that played at UCLA at nose tackle. He had 55 tackles last season. They got Mike Daniels. He only had the right DN. He only had 18 tackles, but then they brought in a guy, Rashad Gray from Michigan.
Yes.
So I think he's going to come in and take over that spot in that 3-4 defense, but he can also be a linebacker position too, because he's like a hybrid. You know, he can play. He can go in the first couple downs. He can go down in the box, and then passing downs he could drop back because he got good hands. He got good speed for his size.
And
all
those
that.
are the best.
Those
edge rushers that are actually like linebackers are the best. I love that.
So that's how I would play. That's how I would play that. And then they got Preston Smith, a guy who they got from Washington over the last 2 seasons. He put up 160 tackles in the last 2-3 seasons. He's the left outside linebacker. They just signed him for big money too. The left inside linebacker, they got Owen Burks, but he only had 24 tackles last season. So like we said, passing downs, you want Rashad Gray there. Running downs, you got to put him in for Daniels so you can mix and match that. They have Blake Martinez. Blake Martinez is a beast. He put up 144 tackles. They got Kyle Farrell, the right outside linebacker, who's wishy-washy. And then they have Javarius Alexander. He was the second on the team in tackles last year at the left cornerback position, putting up 66 tackles. And that team as a whole only had 7. I left this out, but the secondary only had 7 picks last year. That's
that's not good.
That's low in the NFL. Yeah. And Kevin King, he only had 17 tackles last season, and they got Darrell Savage, the guy from Maryland.
Yeah.
They drafted him. He's 5'11", 200. He played safety in college, but in the NFL he might be a corner. So I would put him in there as a cornerback position to help that out because King can't do it. King is more of a coverage guy, but he ain't gonna come up and make a pop.
All right.
They got Josh Jones. He had 55 tackles last season. So I would keep him there at safety, at the strong safety position, because in the free safety position, they just got Adrian Amos from Chicago.
Yes.
Nice. Real deal. He got 274 career tackles. He got over like 10, 15 interceptions in his career.
They paid him big, too.
And they paid him big. So they brought in Adrian Amos, they brought in Preston Smith, and they brought in Zadarius Smith. Those 3 people, they gave him that check. So they paid him well, healthy check. So I think, and with the addition of the young guys, I think that team can have a way better defense. And to get that down from 394, you're giving up almost 400 yards passing. You got to get that down to like 200 to the 240 range. Maybe make some big plays on defense, some interceptions, some sacks, get a few turnovers, help out Aaron Rodgers in the offense, and maybe you guys can make another run for it. But I just think with the new additions that they added and the rookies that they got, I think that's going to help out their defense. And this defense, you heard it here, this defense is going to be a good defense by the end of the year. And we're going to be talking about them more often later on in the season, but I think they're going to have a potential to be a good defense. At least they're going to go from being league bottom to at least top 10 defense in the league.
Top 10? We're going to give them top 10? Okay.
I'm giving them top 10.
All right.
Yep.
I would love to see, because, I mean, there was, not too long ago, Green Bay did have a top 5 defense.
Yes.
Not too long ago. So they had one of the best offenses, but also one of the best defenses in the NFL. And it's about time that they get back to that place, because that's the reason why they didn't make the playoffs, because their defense was not worthy. And I would love to see them turn around. Green Bay is my second favorite team in the NFL. It's been that way since the days of Brett Favre. I used to love Brett Favre as a quarterback. And that was I've liked Green Bay since I even didn't before I knew about football. Like I've always liked them. So I'm always hoping that they're a great team and that they make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, I always want to see Green Bay Patriots Super Bowl. That would be like.
It could happen.
Could happen.
You know.
So if I ever got to see that Super Bowl, just know that I'm seeing my favorite Super Bowl situation ever happen, because to see those two teams play each other, and there was years that I thought it was like a foregone conclusion that it was going to be Patriots and Green Bay, and in those years I thought it was foregone conclusion neither one of them even made it to the Super Bowl. And that's what's great about sports, man. You just never know what's going to happen, who's going to make it where. Oh, and I did just remember a small little update is that Patriots signed Benjamin Watson, the tight end, and then he informs them that he's going to be suspended for 4 games. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He's being suspended for violating the anti-doping laws, but he did it when he was retired. And then he came out of retirement, so he failed the test, and now he will suffer the consequences. Do you think the Patriots say, you know what, we're going to move on and we're going to go after another tight end, maybe like Lance Kendricks, or try to get that trade for Kyle Rudolph?
Well, I think, Kyle Rudolph is always an option for them because he's probably the best available tight end right now.
Yeah.
But I think they knew what they was getting before they got it, because you don't go out there and get a guy off retirement and not know these things. It's just that the media just put it out there now. You know what I'm saying? Like, when he was suspended, when he was in retirement, didn't pass, because that happened before, right? Or that just happened?
No, well, he signed with the Patriots, he got tested, and then he failed, and he informed the Patriots. And it could have
but it was from the 4-game ban was from something that happened while he was retired, like you're saying, right?
While he was retired.
Yeah,
so he might have very well said, "Hey, listen, I've been using this to get help to get back in shape because I didn't think I was going to be playing again. So this, that, and the other thing."
And then if with the Patriots, they're not going to go out there and get you and put their name on something to have the media on it. Yeah. So it's just you're going to hear about that for right now, and it's going to go away. He's going to come back, he's going to play, and whatever happens. Or you never know. They could utilize him and trade him for the Kyle Rudolph. Who knows? But they got something up their sleeve. But, again, you don't go get a guy off the couch and think you don't have that talk what's the guidelines? What did you do before retirement? What was you doing during retirement? You ask those questions to see where they stand, because
you do your due diligence.
Yeah, you have to. Patriots probably had him out there doing workouts before he even did anything. You get what I'm saying? Just to make sure he still could be tip-top caliber for when the season starts. And the Patriots don't really need him until midway or to the end of the season, so they don't really care for that. So they deal with it.
I think you're right. I think they had an idea of what was going on before it even happened, and they were prepared for it. So we'll see what happens. I like the fact that he gets to come home, maybe finish his career where it started with the New England Patriots. I do like Austin Seferian-Jenkins as well. So I'm hoping that 2 tight end set works out for us this year. We'll see what happens, but. He does got a 4-game suspension, so we'll see him after that happens. Do we have any other updates before we work to the end?
Updates for me.
All right, cool. So that's our show for today. Make sure you check in and watch them Bruins. We're trying to go for that, trying to get that 2-0 start, and hopefully work towards that sweep. But at the end of the day, we just need to get one victory at a time. So the Bruins will be playing. Technically, it will be tonight when you're listening to this, but tomorrow. And we hope them the best. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel. That's Gym Bag Entertainment. One word, Gym Bag, and then Entertainment. Also, check us out on our Instagrams and our Facebook pages. Hit us up with questions, comments, and whatnot. But the most important thing you can do for us is like, share, and subscribe. We need all the support we can get. For all of our shows, we have The Flex, The Endzone, and we also have Tail of the Tape. We're trying to grow this thing out. We will have more sports shows to come as the future progresses, but we want all your support, and we thank you for it in advance. So until next week, we'll see you in the Endzone. Have a good night.